His name is Friedrich. He is 57 years old. For 30 years he worked as a master cabinet maker in Leipzig. He built furniture for bankers, for lawyers, for the families of university professors. He was proud of his hands. He was proud of his craft. He had a wife, a daughter, and a small house with a garden where he grew roses. He had a savings account with 4,000 marks in it. 4,000 marks. A lifetime of careful, patient work. Today, Friedrich is standing in the snow outside a butcher shop. He has been standing here since 4 in the morning. It is now nearly noon. He has not eaten in 2 days. He is holding a suitcase. The suitcase is made of fine leather. He bought it 20 years ago for a trip to Vienna. It was the best suitcase in the shop. Inside the suitcase there is money. There is so much money that Friedrich cannot close the lid all the way. 100 billion marks. More money than most people in this city will earn in 1,000 lifetimes. Friedrich is hoping to trade this suitcase full of money for a piece of meat. Just a small piece. Something, anything, to put in the mouths of his wife and his daughter, who are waiting at home in the cold because they cannot afford coal to heat the stove. This is Germany. The year is 1923. And this is not poverty. This is something worse. This is the complete and total collapse of everything that normal people believe to be true about the world. When money becomes nothing, when work becomes meaningless, when the future simply disappears. To understand how Friedrich ended up standing in the snow with a suitcase full of worthless paper, we have to go back 5 years. Back to a railway car in a forest in France. November 11th, 1918. The guns have just fallen silent. The Great War is over. 4 years of slaughter. 10 million dead. 20 million wounded. Europe is exhausted. Europe is bankrupt. Europe is filled with hatred. In that railway car, German officials sign an armistice. They sign it because their army is starving, their navy has mutinied, their cities are on the verge of revolution. They sign it because they have no choice. But they are told by the Allied generals that this is just a truce, that the final peace will be fair, that Germany will have a seat at the table. It is a lie. The peace is written in Paris, in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles. The men who write it are old, tired, and vengeful. The Frenchman, Clemenceau, is called the Tiger. He remembers 1871, when Germany humiliated France and took Alsace-Lorraine. He remembers the German shells falling on his country. He wants revenge. He wants to tear Germany apart so completely that it can never ever threaten France again. The Englishman, Lloyd George, is more cautious. He worries about creating a future enemy. But the British public is screaming. Hang the Kaiser. Make Germany pay. Squeeze them until the pips squeak. Lloyd George listens to the screaming he always does. The treaty is signed on June 28, 1919, 5 years to the day after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The Germans are not allowed to negotiate. They are handed a document. They are told to sign it or face invasion. They sign it with trembling hands. The German delegation weeps. Article 231, the War Guilt Clause. Germany must accept full responsibility for starting the war. This is not a moral statement. This is a financial weapon. Because guilt means liability. Liability means a bill so enormous that it has no precedent in human history. The bill is 132 billion gold marks. To understand what 132 billion gold marks means, you have to understand that the entire German economy in 1919 was not capable of producing 132 billion gold marks. It would take generations. It would take centuries. It would take more money than existed on the entire European continent. It was not a reparations payment. It was a sentence of economic slavery. But the treaty does not stop there. Germany loses territory. It loses Alsace and Lorraine, where the iron mines are, the iron that builds machines, builds railroads, builds weapons. Gone. It loses Upper Silesia, where the coal is, the coal that heats homes, powers factories, drives ships. Gone. It loses all of its colonies, its sources of rubber, oil, and tropical goods. Gone. The Saar Basin, with its rich coal fields, is handed to France for 15 years. The Rhineland, the industrial spine of Western Germany, is demilitarized. No German soldiers, no German forts. It is an open wound, a permanent reminder of defeat. The German army is reduced to 100,000 men. No tanks, no air force, no submarines. A nation that was once the greatest military power in Europe is left with a force smaller than the police department of New York City. And the generals, the ones who actually lost the war, the ones who begged for the armistice when they realized the game was up, they do something remarkable. They invent a lie. They go to the politicians, to the industrialists, to the newspaper owners. They say, the army was never defeated. The army was betrayed by traitors at home, by socialists, by communists, by the Jews, the November criminals, they call them, the ones who signed the surrender, the stab in the back, the Dolchstoßlegende, a lie so powerful, so seductive that millions of Germans will believe it unto death. So now we have a Germany that is humiliated, stripped of its wealth, burdened with an impossible debt, and convinced that it was cheated, not defeated. This is the foundation upon which the Weimar Republic is built. A democracy born in shame, a republic with no republicans. The first payments are due in 1921. Germany has no money, it has no gold, it has no goods to sell, because its industry has been looted and its markets are gone. So it prints money. It prints paper marks to buy foreign currency to pay the Allies. This is the beginning of the end. The mark, which traded at 4 to the dollar before the war, begins to slide. 60 to the dollar. 100 to the dollar. By early 1922, it is 400 to the dollar. The German government begs for a moratorium, a pause, just a little time to breathe. The Allies refuse. In 1922, Germany misses a payment, a small payment, a shipment of timber. It is an excuse. In January 1923, French and Belgian troops march into the Ruhr Valley. The Ruhr is the heart of German industry. Coal mines, steel mills, railway yards. The French take control. They will take what they are owed in coal, in steel, in iron, at gunpoint. The German government calls for passive resistance. It tells the workers in the Ruhr to go on strike. Do not mine coal for the French. Do not run trains for the French. Let them sit in our factories and do nothing. We will pay your wages. We will support you. It sounds heroic. It is suicide. The German government now has to pay hundreds of thousands of workers who are producing nothing. No coal, no steel, no taxes, no revenue. The government has no money. So it does the only thing it can do. It prints more money. It prints money to pay the strikers. It prints money to buy coal from abroad because the Ruhr coal is not coming. It prints money to pay the bureaucrats, the teachers, the pensioners. It prints money until the printing presses run 24 hours a day. until the paper runs out, until the ink runs out. And this is where Friedrich the cabinet maker enters our story. Friedrich believed in saving. He believed in the future. He put money in the bank every month for 30 years. 4,000 marks. Enough to live on in his old age. Enough to help his daughter when she married. Enough to feel secure. In 1919, 4,000 marks could buy a small house. In 1921, 4,000 marks could buy a new car. In 1922, 4,000 marks could buy a good suit and a pair of shoes. In January 1923, 4,000 marks could buy a week's worth of groceries. In July 1923, 4,000 marks could buy a single meal in a restaurant. In October 1923, 4,000 marks would not buy a loaf of bread. Friedrich went to the bank. He stood in line with hundreds of other people, all of them pale, all of them silent, all of them holding their bank books in trembling hands. When he reached the teller, he asked for his money. The teller did not laugh. The teller did not apologize. The teller simply pushed a stack of paper across the counter. 100 billion marks. Friedrich stared at it. He had never seen so much money in his life. He had also never felt so completely, utterly poor. He walked out of the bank and into a world that had gone mad. In the streets of Leipzig, in the streets of every German city, people were running. Not walking, running. Because if you walked, prices would change before you reached the store. Children were sent out with laundry baskets to collect their parents' wages because the money was too heavy to carry in pockets. Women brought suitcases, shopping bags, even wheelbarrows. And the shopkeepers, they counted the money as fast as they could, because by the time they finished counting, the money would be worth less than it was when they started. A loaf of bread in the morning cost 1 million marks. By noon, it was 2 million. By evening, it was 5 million. A newspaper cost 200,000 marks. People read the newspaper and then sold it to buy a piece of bread. A stamp for a letter cost billions. People stopped writing letters. Friedrich watched a woman drop a wheelbarrow full of money on the cobblestones. The money scattered in the wind. She chased it, screaming. The people around her stepped over the banknotes. They were not worth bending down to pick up. Friedrich saw a man in a good coat, a professor maybe, take a stack of million-mark notes out of his pocket and use them to light a cigarette. He saw children building towers with bricks of currency, kicking them down the street like soccer balls. He went home. His wife Elsa was waiting in the kitchen. It was cold, freezing. They had no coal. The coal dealers would not take money anymore. They wanted things, real things. A clock, a painting, a pair of boots. Elsa had wrapped herself in a blanket. She was stirring a pot of water. There was nothing in the pot but water. They had no food. The shops had food. But the prices changed so fast that by the time Friedrich got there, his money was worthless. He opened his suitcase and showed her the money. 100 billion marks. She looked at it. She did not cry. She was past crying. That night, Friedrich burned money in the stove. Not because he was angry, because it was practical. A stack of million-mark notes burned longer than a piece of newspaper. It gave them 15 minutes of warmth, 15 minutes of pretending they were not freezing to death. The next morning, Friedrich went back to the butcher. He had heard a rumor. The butcher might accept money if you got there early enough, before the new prices were posted. Friedrich stood in the snow for 8 hours. When he finally reached the door, the butcher came out and locked it. He pointed to a sign. The sign had been changed 3 times that day. The price of meat was now 200 billion marks. Friedrich did not have 200 billion marks. He had 100 billion marks. He stood there for a long time holding his suitcase. Then he turned and walked away. On the way home, he passed a beer hall. There was a crowd outside. A man was standing on a crate, shouting. Friedrich could not hear the words, but he could hear the rhythm of it, the anger. The crowd was listening. Some of them were nodding. Some of them had fists in the air. Friedrich stopped for a moment. He looked at their faces. They were faces like his, tired, hungry, desperate. They were looking for someone to blame. They were looking for someone to tell them it was not their fault. Friedrich did not go inside. He went home to his wife and his cold stove and his hungry daughter. But he remembered the faces, and he remembered that somewhere in that crowd, listening to that shouting man, was the future. The hyperinflation of 1923 did not last forever. In November, a new currency was introduced, the Rentenmark, 1 trillion old marks for 1 new mark. The numbers were wiped clean, but the people were not wiped clean. The savings were gone, the security was gone, the trust was gone. A whole generation of Germans had learned a terrible lesson. The world can turn upside down. Everything you believe in can become nothing. The government can steal from you while pretending to protect you. And when that happens, you look for someone to blame. And you look for someone to follow. Someone who promises to make it right. Someone who promises to make them pay. In a Munich prison, a man named Adolf Hitler was writing a book. He had tried to seize power in 1923 and failed. He was in prison, supposedly finished. But he watched the hyperinflation. He watched the middle class destroyed. He watched the hatred grow. And he understood something that the politicians in Berlin did not understand. He understood that people who have lost everything will do anything. They will believe anything. They will follow anyone. Friedrich the cabinet maker never joined the Nazi Party. He died in 1932, before the seizure of power. He died bitter, broken, and poor. His daughter Greta was 30 years old in 1933. She remembered the winter of 1923. She remembered her father burning money to keep her warm. She remembered the hunger. And when a man came to her door in 1933 and told her that the Jews did this, that the French did this, that the communists did this, and that there was a man who could make Germany strong again, she listened. She did not join the mob. She did not burn synagogues. But she did not stop her husband from joining. She did not tell her son to stay home. She just wanted to be safe. She just wanted never to be cold and hungry again. And that is how the powder keg of Versailles becomes the fire of the Second World War. One family at a time, one desperate choice at a time, one frozen winter at a time. Her name is Greta. She's 22 years old. She's the daughter of Friedrich the cabinet maker, the man who stood in the snow with a suitcase full of worthless money. But that was 5 years ago. That was another life. Today, Greta is walking down the Leipziger Strasse in Berlin, and she cannot believe her eyes. The streets are clean, the shops are full, the cafes are overflowing with people laughing, drinking coffee, eating cream cakes. The women wear short dresses and silk stockings. Their hair is bobbed in the new style. The men wear sharp suits and carry polished canes. They talk about jazz music. They talk about American movies. They talk about the new sports car that Mercedes is building. They do not talk about hunger. They do not talk about the French in the Ruhr. They do not talk about the war. That is all over. That is the past. The future has arrived, and the future is beautiful. Greta works in a department store, one of the new department stores. Tietz, Wertheim, palaces of glass and steel filled with goods from all over the world. American radios, French perfumes, English woolens. She stands behind a counter selling silk blouses to women who, 5 years ago, were burning furniture to stay warm. She does not resent them. She admires them. She wants to be them. She saves her money. Not in a bank. Never again in a bank. She hides it in her apartment. She is saving for a dress. A real dress. A Paris dress. She has seen it in a magazine. It costs more than her father earned in a month in the old days. But these are not the old days. These are the new days. The golden days. What Greta does not know, what almost no one in Germany knows, is that this golden age is built on a lie. It is built on money that does not exist. It is built on loans from a country 3,000 miles away, a country that is having its own party, a country that will soon wake up with the worst hangover in human history. The country is America, and the party is about to end. To understand how Greta ended up in a Berlin department store dreaming of Paris dresses, we have to go back to 1924, back to a hotel in London, back to a man named Charles Dawes. Dawes is an American banker. He has been sent to Europe to fix the impossible problem of German reparations. The problem is simple. Germany cannot pay the 132 billion gold marks demanded by the Treaty of Versailles. But France and Britain need that money to pay back the loans they took from America during the war. And America wants its money back. So everyone is stuck. No one can pay anyone. Dawes has a solution. It is a brilliant solution. It is also a terrifying solution. The solution is this. America will lend money to Germany. Germany will use that money to pay reparations to France and Britain. France and Britain will use that money to pay back their war debts to America. The money goes in a circle. It starts in America. It ends in America. But on the way, it passes through Germany, and some of it stays there, some of it builds factories, some of it builds apartments, some of it buys silk blouses for girls like Greta. This is the Dawes Plan. It is signed in 1924. It does not reduce Germany's debt. It simply provides the cash to make the payments. And that cash, 800 million gold marks in the first year alone, pours into Germany like water into a desert. The effect is immediate. It is miraculous. It is also completely, utterly insane. The factories start running again. Not because Germans are buying German goods, because Americans are lending Germans the money to buy German goods. It is a circle. A perfect, closed loop. The more America lends, the more Germany produces. The more Germany produces, the more France and Britain get paid. The more France and Britain get paid, the more they pay America. Everyone is happy. Everyone is getting rich. No one asks what happens if the loans stop. No one wants to ask. In America, the 1920s are roaring. The stock market is climbing. Every day, new millionaires are made. Ordinary people, janitors, secretaries, taxi drivers are playing the market. They borrow money to buy stocks. They buy stocks on margin. That means they put down 10% and borrow the rest. If the stock goes up, they make a fortune. If the stock goes down, they lose everything. But the stock never goes down. Not anymore. This time is different. This is a new era. permanent prosperity. Everyone believes it, even the smart ones, especially the smart ones. In Chicago, a man named Carl is working on an assembly line. He builds refrigerators, the new electric refrigerators that every family wants. Carl is not rich. He is a worker. But he has a radio. He has a car, a Model T Ford. He has a wife and 2 children, and a small house with a mortgage he can afford. He has never been to Europe. He does not care about Europe. He cares about baseball. He cares about the new talking pictures at the cinema. He cares about the stock market tips he hears at the barber shop. Carl has put $200 into the market. On margin, he has never met a German. He has never heard of the Dawes Plan. But Carl's $200, mixed with millions of other $200, is flowing across the Atlantic. It is paying for Greta's salary. It is paying for the new apartments going up in Berlin. It is paying for the coal mines in the Ruhr. Carl and Greta are connected by an invisible thread of money. They do not know each other. They will never meet. But their fates are tied together, tight as a noose. In Berlin, the party gets louder. 1925, 1926, 1927. Every year is better than the last. The new apartments have central heating, electric lights, indoor plumbing. The old tenements, the dark, cold, crowded tenements of the 19th century, are being abandoned. Workers ride bicycles to factories that were built with American money. They read newspapers printed on American paper. They watch American movies. They hum American jazz. The Americans are saving us, people say. The Americans are our friends. The Americans will never let us fall. The government in Berlin borrows more. The cities borrow more. The companies borrow more. Why not? Interest rates are low. Money is easy. The future is bright. The Americans have unlimited money. Everyone knows that. In the factories, the workers are organizing. They have unions now. They have collective bargaining. They have 8-hour days and paid vacations. The Social Democratic Party, the party of the workers, is the strongest party in Germany. They run the government in Berlin. They run the police in the cities. They are building playgrounds for children. They are building swimming pools for the poor. They are building a new Germany, a democratic Germany, a peaceful Germany. It is working. It is really working. Greta gets her dress. It is beautiful. Pale blue silk, cut on the bias. It flows like water when she walks. She wears it to a dance hall on a Saturday night. There is a jazz band, American music. She dances with a young man named Heinrich. He works at an insurance company. He has a good job. Steady. He talks about getting married, about buying an apartment, about having children who will never know what hunger means. Greta looks at him. He is handsome. He is kind. He is safe. She says yes. In Munich, in a small apartment, a man watches all of this with cold, burning rage. Adolf Hitler is out of prison now. His book, Mein Kampf, is selling. Not many copies. Not yet. But some. He speaks at meetings. Small meetings. Beer halls. Back rooms. He tells anyone who will listen that this prosperity is a fraud. That the American loans are a trap. That the Jews who run the banks are laughing at the Germans while they steal their souls. That the real Germany, the Germany of blood and soil, of soldiers and farmers, is being sold for jazz music and silk dresses. People laugh at him. They call him a fool, a crank, a relic of the past. The future belongs to democracy. The future belongs to prosperity. The future belongs to America. But there are cracks. Small cracks, invisible to most people. In the countryside, the farmers are not sharing in the prosperity. World food prices are falling. American wheat is flooding the market. German farmers cannot compete. They are losing their land. They are losing hope. They look at Berlin, at the dancing and the silk dresses, and they hate it. They hate the city. They hate the banks. They hate the Jews. They blame for the banks. They start listening to the man in Munich. In the small towns, the shopkeepers are struggling. The big department stores, the Tietz and Wertheim palaces, are stealing their customers. The department stores are owned by Jews. Everyone knows that. The shopkeepers start listening too. And in the universities, the students are graduating and finding no jobs. Too many graduates. Too few positions. The sons of the middle class, the sons of doctors and lawyers and professors, are driving taxis. They are sweeping floors. They are swallowing their pride and hating the system that betrayed them. They start reading the pamphlets, the ones with the swastika on the cover. But in Berlin, in 1927, in 1928, no one sees the cracks. The music is too loud. The lights are too bright. Greta gets married. She and Heinrich rent an apartment in a new building. It has a bathroom, a real bathroom, with hot running water. Greta stands in the bathroom sometimes, just listening to the sound of the water. She remembers the winter of 1923. She remembers her father burning money to keep her warm. She remembers the hunger. She closes her eyes and listens to the water and tells herself that it is over, that it will never happen again, that the world has changed, that the future is safe. In America, Carl buys a new radio, a Philco, beautiful cabinet, wood so polished you can see your face in it. He sits in his living room and listens to the news. The market is up again. Another record. The president says prosperity is permanent. The economists say a new era has begun. Carl thinks about putting more money in. Maybe sell the car. Borrow against the house. Why not? This is the chance of a lifetime. You have to take risks to get ahead. Everyone is doing it. In New York, the bankers are getting nervous. Not all of them. Just a few. The ones who remember 1907. The ones who know that trees do not grow to the sky. They look at the loans going to Germany. They look at the stocks climbing without any reason. They look at the ordinary people borrowing money they do not have to buy stocks they do not understand. They start to pull back. Quietly. Carefully. They stop lending so freely. They call in some loans. Just a few. Just to be safe. The invisible thread connecting Carl in Chicago to Greta in Berlin begins to fray. Just a little. Just a few strands. No one notices. Not yet. But the thread is fraying. And when it breaks, when it finally snaps, everything that was built on it will come crashing down. The apartments, the jobs, the dresses, the dances, the hope, all of it. Greta becomes pregnant in the spring of 1929. She is happy. Heinrich is happy. They talk about names. They talk about schools. They talk about the future. They do not talk about America. They do not talk about the stock market. They do not talk about the bankers in New York who are quietly, carefully, starting to pull their money out of Germany. In September 1929, Greta gives birth to a son. They name him Friedrich, after her father. The old man died bitter and broken, but his name will live on. The new Friedrich will have a better life. He will never know hunger. He will never know fear. He will grow up in a peaceful, prosperous Germany. A Germany that is respected in the world. A Germany that is safe. Greta holds her son in her arms. She looks out the window at the clean streets of Berlin, at the electric streetlights, at the automobiles, at the people walking home from work with newspapers under their arms and food in their bags. She feels safe. She feels lucky. She feels that the nightmare is finally, truly over. She does not know that in less than 1 month, on a Tuesday in October, the stock market in New York will collapse. She does not know that the American loans will stop overnight, that the factories will close, that the banks will fail, that the apartments will be repossessed, that her husband will lose his job, that she will stand in line again, in the snow again, hungry again. She does not know that the man in Munich, the one they laughed at, the one they called a fool, is waiting. He is patient. He has been watching. He knows that when people are afraid, when they are hungry, when they have lost everything, they will listen. They will follow. They will do anything to never feel this way again. Greta looks at her son. She smiles. She has no idea what is coming. None of them do. The party is almost over, the hangover is about to begin, and this time there will be no American money to cure it. This time the cure will be much, much worse. His name is Heinrich. He is 31 years old. He is Greta's husband. He is the father of baby Friedrich. He works at an insurance company in Berlin. He sells policies to businessmen, to factory owners, to people who want to protect their families from the unexpected. Heinrich believes in insurance. He believes in planning. He believes that if you work hard and save money and do everything right, the world will treat you fairly. He is about to learn that the world does not care what you believe. It is October 24th, 1929, a Thursday. Heinrich is at his desk. The morning is ordinary, gray sky, cold wind, the usual stack of papers. He is reviewing a policy for a textile manufacturer in Saxony. The manufacturer wants to insure his factory against fire. Heinrich calculates the risk. He calculates the premium. He writes the numbers in his careful hand. The telephone rings. It is his boss. The boss sounds strange. His voice is high, strained. He tells Heinrich to come to the conference room. Now. All senior staff. Heinrich is not senior staff. He is middle. But he goes. In the conference room, there is a radio. The staff is gathered around it. No one is talking. The radio is playing American music. Jazz. But then the music stops. A voice comes on, speaking German. The voice says something about New York, about the stock market, about panic. Heinrich does not understand. He does not follow the stock market. He does not invest. He learned from his father-in-law, from Friedrich the cabinet maker, that banks are dangerous. That money on paper is not real. He keeps his savings at home, in a tin box under the bed. He thinks this makes him safe. The voice on the radio says that millions of shares are being sold, that no one is buying, that prices are falling so fast the ticker cannot keep up, that men are jumping from windows in New York. Heinrich looks at his boss. His boss is pale. His boss has money in the market. His boss is going to be sick. Heinrich goes back to his desk. He tries to work. He cannot concentrate. He keeps thinking about the tin box under the bed. The money there is real. It is paper, yes, but it is German paper. Reichsmarks. It has nothing to do with New York. Nothing to do with stocks. He tells himself this. He almost believes it. What Heinrich does not understand, what almost no one in Germany understands yet, is that the crash in New York is not an American problem. It is not a Wall Street problem. It is a rope, and that rope is tied around Germany's neck. When America sneezes, Germany catches pneumonia. That is the deal. That is the trap. And the trap is about to snap shut. To understand what happened on Black Thursday, to understand why a stock market crash in New York destroyed lives in Berlin, we have to go back to the invisible thread. The one connecting Carl in Chicago to Greta in Berlin. That thread was money. American money. Loans. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Billions. All of it flowing across the Atlantic to keep Germany afloat. When the stock market crashed, when those millions of shares were sold and turned to dust, the American banks did not have money anymore. The people who had deposited their savings could not get them back. The banks called in their loans. Every loan. Everywhere. They needed cash. They needed it now. And the easiest loans to call were the ones to Germany. The short-term loans. The ones that could be demanded back at any moment. On October 24th, the calls began. American bankers sent telegrams to German banks. We need our money. Send it immediately. The German banks did not have it. They had lent it to German companies, to German cities, to German factories. It was gone, spent, built into apartments, and dresses and radios. You cannot tear down an apartment and send it to New York. You cannot unbake a loaf of bread. But the American banks did not care. They needed money. They demanded it. The German banks turned to the German government. The government did not have it. They turned to the Reichstag, the central bank. The Reichstag printed money. It always printed money. But printing money in 1929 was not like printing money in 1923. In 1923, printing money caused hyperinflation. In 1929, printing money caused something else. It caused a slow, grinding, agonizing collapse. Because this time, the money was not going to workers. It was going to America. It was leaving the country, disappearing, never coming back. In the weeks after Black Thursday, the invisible thread snapped, not slowly, not quietly. It snapped like a cable under too much tension, whipping, deadly. The American loans stopped, completely, overnight. The money that had been flowing into Germany for 5 years, the money that had built the factories and paid the salaries and bought the silk dresses, was gone. The pipeline was dry. The first sign was the factories. In November, the textile mill in Saxony, the one Heinrich had insured, announced it was closing. For 2 weeks, just for 2 weeks, to adjust, to wait for the situation to improve. The workers went home. They told their wives. The wives tightened their belts. 2 weeks. They could survive 2 weeks. But 2 weeks passed. The factory did not reopen. The orders had stopped coming. The Americans who bought the textiles could not pay. The Germans who bought the textiles could not pay. No one could pay. The factory closed indefinitely. Then another factory closed. Then another. Then a bank in Dresden failed. Just closed its doors one morning. Did not open. The people stood outside. They pounded on the doors. They screamed. Their money was inside. Their savings. Their futures. The bank did not reopen. In Berlin, Heinrich's insurance company stopped selling new policies. Then they stopped paying commissions. Then they stopped paying salaries. They told Heinrich to come to work anyway, to show up, to look busy. They said it would be temporary, just a few months. The economy always recovers. It always does. Heinrich went to work every day. He sat at his desk. He shuffled papers. He did nothing. There was nothing to do. No one was buying insurance. No one had money for insurance. People were canceling their policies, cashing them in, desperate for any money they could get. Heinrich watched them come in. Pale faces, trembling hands. They had paid for years. Decades. Now they needed the money to buy bread. The company paid them pennies on the mark. It was legal. It was also robbery. But no one stopped it. Greta stopped buying things. She stopped going to the department store. She stopped looking at magazines. She took care of baby Friedrich. She nursed him. She held him. She prayed that he would not get sick. She remembered the winter of 1923. She remembered her father burning money. She tried not to think about it. She thought about it all the time. In December, Heinrich came home early. It was 3 in the afternoon. He never came home early. Greta saw his face and knew. She did not ask. She just waited. He sat down at the kitchen table. He put his head in his hands. He said they had let him go. The company was reducing staff, reducing to nothing. He was nothing. He was sorry. He was so sorry. Greta did not cry. She went to the bedroom. She reached under the bed. She pulled out the tin box. She opened it. There was money inside. 300 marks. 300. It had taken years to save. It was supposed to be for emergencies. This was an emergency. She counted it. She put it back. She closed the box. 300 marks would buy food for maybe 2 months. 2 months. Then nothing. In America, Carl lost his job too. The refrigerator factory closed. No one was buying refrigerators. No one was buying anything. Carl lost his house. The bank took it. He lost his car. He lost everything. He stood in line for bread. He stood in line for soup. He wondered what happened. He had done everything right. He had worked hard. He had played by the rules. Now he was standing in line with bums and drunks and men who had never worked a day in their lives. He hated them. He hated the bankers. He hated the government. He did not know who to blame. He just knew he was angry. So angry. In Germany, the anger was worse, because in Germany people had already lost everything once. In 1923, they had already been through hell. They had climbed out. They had rebuilt. They had started to believe again, and now it was happening again. The same fear, the same hunger, the same cold. They could not believe it. They would not accept it. They needed someone to blame. The government in Berlin tried to help. They tried to spend money. They tried to create jobs, but they had no money. The American loans were gone. Tax revenues were disappearing. The unemployed were everywhere, millions of them. The government printed money anyway. Just a little. Just enough to keep people from starving. But printing money in a depression does not cause inflation. There is no inflation when no one has any money. There is only deflation. Prices fall. Wages fall. Everything falls, except unemployment. That rises. By the end of 1929, 2 million Germans were out of work. By the end of 1930, it would be 3 million. By 1932, it would be 6 million. 1 out of every 3 workers. 6 million men with nothing to do. 6 million families with no income. 6 million futures with no hope. In the tin box under Greta's bed, the 300 marks grew smaller. Not because the money lost value, because the money was spent. A little each week, a little each day. Bread, milk, coal, just enough to survive. Just enough to keep baby Friedrich from crying. Just enough to keep going. In March 1930, the money ran out. Greta opened the box. She counted the last few marks. She looked at Heinrich. He looked at the floor. He had not found work. There was no work. Not for him. Not for anyone. He went to the employment office every day. He stood in line for hours. He came home with nothing. He stopped looking Heinrich in the eye. He stopped talking. He just sat at the kitchen table staring at nothing. Greta went to the welfare office. She stood in line with hundreds of other women. They did not talk. They just stood, silent, hunched, waiting. When she reached the window, a man looked at her papers. He asked questions. How many children? How much rent? Any other income? She answered. He stamped her papers. He gave her a slip. She could get food. Not much. Just enough. She took the slip. She went home. She did not tell Heinrich. She did not want him to know that his wife had to beg. In the beer halls of Munich, the man with the mustache was speaking every night. Adolf Hitler. His party was growing, not because people loved him, because they were desperate, because they had nowhere else to go. The communists were growing too. They promised revolution. They promised to take from the rich and give to the poor. The factory owners were terrified of the communists. They started looking at Hitler. He hated the communists too. He promised to stop them. He promised to make Germany strong again. He promised to tear up the Treaty of Versailles. He promised to blame someone, anyone, the Jews, the French, the Americans, the November criminals. It did not matter who. It only mattered that there was someone to blame. In the election of September 1930, the Nazis won 18% of the vote. 18%. 6 million Germans voted for Hitler. 6 million people who had lost everything. 6 million people who wanted someone to pay. The newspapers called it a shock, a protest, a temporary madness. They said it would pass. They said the economy would recover. They said reasonable people would come to their senses. In Berlin, Greta did not vote. She was too tired, too hungry, too busy trying to keep her baby alive. She heard the men talking in the bread line. Some of them talked about Hitler. Some of them talked about the communists. They argued. Sometimes they fought. She did not listen. She just wanted bread. She just wanted her son to stop crying. She just wanted to go home and lie down and forget. But she could not forget. She could not escape. The radio in the apartment downstairs played the speeches, the shouting, the promises, the hatred. She heard the words through the floor, through the walls. They seeped into her dreams. She dreamed of her father, of the suitcase full of money, of the snow, of the cold. She woke up sweating in the freezing room. In America, Carl listened to different speeches, different voices. The president said prosperity was just around the corner. The corner kept moving. The soup kitchens kept running. The bread lines kept growing. Carl stopped listening. He stopped believing. He just wanted to survive, just like Greta, just like millions of others. All of them connected by the invisible thread that had snapped. All of them waiting for something, anything, not knowing that what was coming would be worse than anything they could imagine. In the spring of 1931, the banks in Austria collapsed. Then the banks in Germany. Then the banks everywhere. The entire system, the whole beautiful, fragile house of cards, built on American loans, fell apart. People lost everything. Again, the ones who had saved, the ones who had planned, the ones who had believed, all of them, wiped out. Again. And in the beer halls, the man with the mustache smiled. He knew. He had always known. The prosperity was a fraud. The loans were a trap. And now the trap had sprung. Now the people were ready. Ready to listen. Ready to follow. Ready to do whatever it took to never feel this way again. Greta held her son. He was almost 2 years old now. He was thin. Too thin. His ribs showed through his skin. He cried less now. He had learned that crying did not bring food. He just stared, quiet, watching. Greta looked at him and saw nothing. No future, no hope, just another day, another line, another hunger. She did not know that in a few years this child would be wearing a uniform, that he would be taught to hate, that he would be sent to die for a man he had never met, in a war that had already been decided by the hunger of his childhood. She did not know that the crash in New York, the one she barely understood, had already set everything in motion, that the rope was tightening, that the noose was almost ready. She just held her son. She just tried to keep him warm. She just tried to survive another day, like millions of others, all of them waiting, all of them hoping, all of them completely, utterly trapped. His name is Friedrich. But he is not the old Friedrich, the cabinet maker who burned money in the stove. He is the new Friedrich, the baby, the one born in September 1929, just weeks before the world ended. Now it is 1932. Friedrich is 3 years old. He does not remember a time when there was enough food. He does not remember a time when his father worked. He does not remember a time when his mother smiled. His world is small. A single room, a cold stove, a window that looks out on a courtyard where the snow never seems to melt. His world is hunger, constant, grinding, never-ending hunger. He has learned not to cry for food. Crying does not bring food. Crying only makes his mother look at him with eyes that scare him, eyes that are empty, eyes that have seen too much. Friedrich is 3 years old. He weighs less than he did when he was 2. His legs are thin as sticks. His belly is swollen, not from food, from hunger, from the strange disease that comes when children eat nothing but bread and water. His hair is falling out. His teeth are crumbling. He is one of 6 million children in Germany who are slowly, quietly starving to death. Not in camps, not in famines, in the middle of Europe, in the 20th century, in cities that, just 3 years ago, were shining with electric lights and jazz music and hope. This is Germany in 1932. This is the social abyss. This is what happens when an entire economy, an entire society, an entire civilization simply stops working. To understand how Friedrich ended up in that cold room with that swollen belly, we have to understand what depression really means. Not the numbers, not the statistics, not the graphs that economists draw. The numbers are too big to understand. 6 million unemployed. That is just a number. But 6 million unemployed means 6 million men who wake up every morning with nothing to do, no place to go, no purpose, no dignity. They lie in bed as long as they can because lying in bed burns fewer calories than getting up. They pull their coats over their heads because coats are cheaper than blankets. They listen to their wives move quietly in the kitchen, trying to make something out of nothing. They listen to their children ask for bread. They have no answers. 6 million unemployed means 20 million people directly affected. Wives, children, parents. 20 million people living on the edge of survival. 20 million people for whom every day is a calculation. How much coal can we burn before the money runs out? How many potatoes can we buy before the price goes up? How many days until the landlord throws us out? How many weeks until we are on the street? In Berlin, in Hamburg, in Cologne, the streets are full of men, not walking anywhere, just standing, leaning against walls, sitting on curbs. Their eyes follow you. They do not beg, not always. They just look. They look at you with eyes that ask a question. Why you? Why not me? What did I do wrong? The ones who do beg have signs. Signs that tell their stories. Former professor. Will work for food. Engineer. Anything accepted. War veteran. Blind. The signs are written carefully. Neatly. The handwriting of educated men who never thought they would have to hold a sign. In the parks, the homeless sleep on benches. When the benches are full, they sleep on the ground. When the ground freezes, they sleep in doorways. When the doorways are cleared by police, they walk. They just keep walking. Walking burns calories. Walking keeps you from freezing. Walking is what you do when you have nowhere to go. The city governments try to help. They open shelters, but the shelters are full. They open soup kitchens, but the soup is thin. Water with cabbage. Water with turnips. Water with anything that costs nothing. The people stand in line for hours to get a bowl of water with cabbage. They stand in line in the rain, in the snow, in the wind. They stand in line and do not talk. Talking uses energy. Talking raises hopes. Talking leads to arguments. Arguments lead to fights. Fights lead to police. Police lead to jail. Jail is warm. Jail has food. Some men commit small crimes on purpose. Steal a loaf of bread. Break a window. Just to get inside. Just to be warm. Just to eat. Greta, Friedrich's mother, no longer stands in line. She cannot. She has the boy. She cannot leave him alone. She cannot take him out in the cold. He is too weak, too thin. The cold would kill him. So she sends Heinrich. Heinrich, her husband. Heinrich, the insurance man. Heinrich, who once wore suits and carried a briefcase. Now he stands in line. He stands for hours. He brings back what he can. A potato, a piece of bread, a bowl of soup that he carried home in a jar, pressed against his chest, to keep it warm. He does not look at Greta when he hands it to her. He does not look at the boy. He looks at the floor. He has stopped talking. He has stopped shaving. He has stopped being Heinrich. He is just a body that stands in line and brings back food. Greta takes the food. She divides it. Most goes to Friedrich. A little for Heinrich. A little for herself. She eats last. She eats least. She is always hungry. She is always cold. She has not had a full meal in months. She has stopped menstruating. Her body is shutting down. Conserving energy. Keeping only what is necessary to survive. She does not think about this. She does not think about anything except the next meal, the next line, the next day. In the room next door, there is a family. The father was a teacher, Latin and Greek. He taught boys about Caesar, about Cicero, about the glory of ancient Rome. Now he teaches nothing. He sits in his room and stares at the wall. His wife died last winter. Pneumonia. No coal. No doctor. No medicine. She just coughed and then stopped. The teacher has 2 daughters, 14 and 16. They go out at night. They do not say where. They come back with money. Sometimes food. The teacher does not ask. He cannot ask. He just sits and stares and pretends he does not know what his daughters are doing to keep them all alive. In the street below, there is a woman. She was a singer. Opera. She had a voice that filled halls. She had recordings. She had contracts. Now she stands on the corner. She does not sing. She just stands. She is too old for the other work. Too old and too proud. She stands and holds out her hand. Sometimes people give her something. Sometimes they spit. She does not react. She just stands. Waiting. The newspapers write about this. They call it the crisis. They call it the depression. They print photographs. The photographs show the lines, the shelters, the children with swollen bellies. The readers look at the photographs. and feel nothing. They have seen too many. They have their own problems. They turn the page. In the countryside, it is different. The farmers have food. They have potatoes. They have milk. They have eggs. But they have no money. No one can buy their crops. The prices have fallen so low that it costs more to transport the food than the food is worth. So the farmers do something that will never be forgotten. They dump milk in the rivers. They burn wheat in their fields. They let fruit rot on the trees. Because there is no market. Because no one can pay. Because the system is broken. In the cities, people hear about this. They hear about milk being dumped while their children die for lack of milk. They hear about wheat being burned while they stand in line for a crust of bread. The rage builds. It is a quiet rage, a cold rage, a rage that has nowhere to go. Not yet. But it is building. It is filling the streets. It is filling the beer halls. It is filling the meeting halls where the communists speak and the Nazis speak and everyone promises to fix it, to make it right, to make them pay. In the winter of 1932, Friedrich gets sick. It starts with a cough, a small cough, then a fever, then a rattling in his chest, pneumonia, the same thing that killed the teacher's wife. Greta knows what pneumonia means. She has no money for a doctor, no money for medicine, no money for coal to keep him warm. She does the only thing she can do. She wraps him in every piece of cloth she owns. She holds him against her body. She stays awake for 3 days and 3 nights, listening to him breathe, waiting for the rattle to stop, waiting for him to die. He does not die, not this time. The fever breaks. The cough slowly fades. He is weaker, thinner. His eyes are bigger in his face, but he is alive. Greta holds him and cries. She has not cried in months. She thought she had no tears left. But she cries now. She cries because he lived. She cries because he will have to live in this world. She cries because she does not know how much longer she can keep him alive. In the beer halls, the man with the mustache speaks every night. Adolf Hitler. He does not speak about economics. He does not speak about policies. He speaks about blame. He names names. The Jews, the bankers, the Versailles Treaty, the November criminals. He gives the people someone to hate, someone to blame, and the people need that. They need it more than bread, more than coal, more than medicine, because bread fills the stomach, but hate fills the soul. Hate gives them a reason. Hate gives them hope. Hate tells them that it is not their fault, that they are victims, that they are the real Germans, the real Aryans, the master race brought low by parasites and traitors. In the working-class districts, the communists speak too. They promise revolution. They promise to take everything from the rich and give it to the poor. They promise a workers' paradise. The workers listen. Some follow the communists, some follow the Nazis. Sometimes they fight, in the streets, in the meeting halls, with fists, with clubs, with knives. The police try to stop it. The police are overwhelmed. The violence spreads. It becomes normal. Another beating, another stabbing, another funeral. The newspapers report it. The readers skim it. Violence is just another part of life now, like hunger, like cold, like waiting in line. In the spring of 1932, there is an election. Not for president, not for parliament, for something else. It does not matter. There is always an election, always a vote, always a promise. The people go to the polls. They vote for the Nazis, or the communists, or the Social Democrats, or anyone who promises change. The results come in. The Nazis are now the largest party in parliament. Not a majority, but the largest. Hitler is someone now. Someone the newspapers have to take seriously. Someone the politicians have to deal with. Someone who is no longer a joke. In the room on the courtyard, Greta does not vote. She cannot leave Friedrich. She does not care about politics. She cares about food, about coal, about the next day. She hears the speeches through the floor, the shouting, the promises. She does not listen. She has heard promises before. They all lie. They all forget. They all go away and leave her here in this room with this child, with this hunger. Heinrich votes. He does not tell Greta who he voted for. He goes to the polling place. He stands in line. He marks the ballot. He folds it. He drops it in the box. He comes home. He does not speak. Greta does not ask. She does not want to know. She is afraid of what he might say, afraid of what he might have become. In the summer, the violence gets worse. The Nazis have their own army now. The SA brown shirts, street fighters. They march through working-class neighborhoods. They sing songs. They wave flags. They pick fights. The communists fight back. Men die. Young men, men who should have been working, should have been marrying, should have been having children. Instead, they die in the streets, beaten to death with clubs, stabbed with knives, shot with pistols. The police collect the bodies. The newspapers report the numbers. The readers turn the page. Friedrich is 4 years old now. He does not play. He has no toys, no friends, no energy for playing. He sits by the window and watches the courtyard. He watches the rats. The rats are fat. There is always garbage in the courtyard. The rats eat well. Friedrich watches them. He is fascinated. They are alive. They move. They fight. They are the only interesting thing in his world. He does not know that rats carry disease, that rats are dangerous. He only knows that they are there, that they are alive, that they are not him. In the autumn, Heinrich comes home with news. He has heard something, on the street, from a man he used to work with. There is a job, a real job, not much. Laboring, digging, but work. He can start next week. Greta looks at him. She does not smile. She has forgotten how. She just nods. She goes to the stove. She puts on water. For the first time in months, she will make something hot. Something that is not just bread and water. Something to celebrate. The job lasts 3 weeks. Then the money runs out. The project is canceled. Heinrich is back on the street. Back in line. Back to nothing. He does not come home right away. He walks. He walks for hours. Through the city. Past the department stores. Boarded up now. Past the cafes. Empty now. Past the theaters. Dark now. He walks until he cannot walk anymore. Then he sits on a bench. He sits in the dark. He does not think. He just sits. When he finally comes home, Greta is asleep. Friedrich is asleep. He stands over them. He looks at his son, at the thin face, the hollow eyes, the swollen belly. He looks at his wife, at the gray skin, the cracked lips, the hands that are nothing but bone and tendon. He stands there for a long time, then he goes to the window. He looks out at the courtyard, at the rats, at the dark. He does not know what he feels. He does not know anything anymore. In December, a man comes to the door. He is from the Nazi Party. He has pamphlets. He wants to talk. Heinrich takes the pamphlets. He reads them after the man leaves. They say everything he has been feeling. They name the names. They point the fingers. They offer a solution. A final solution. Heinrich reads them twice. Then he puts them under the mattress. He does not tell Greta. He does not know if he believes it. He only knows that it feels good to have someone to blame. It feels good to hear that it is not his fault. It feels good to imagine that one day they will pay. All of them. They will pay. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich sleeps. He dreams of rats. Fat rats. He dreams of catching one, eating it. He wakes up hungry. He always wakes up hungry. He looks at the window. The snow is falling again. Another winter, another cold, another hunger. He closes his eyes. He goes back to sleep. It is the only escape, the only peace, the only place where there is no hunger. In Berlin, in the government offices, the politicians argue. They cannot agree on anything. They cannot fix anything. They cannot stop the slide. The depression has been going on for 3 years. 3 years of hunger. 3 years of despair. 3 years of waiting for something to change. It is not changing. It is getting worse. The politicians know that something is coming. Something big. Something terrible. They do not know what. They do not know when. They only know that they cannot stop it. In Munich, in a fancy hotel suite, Adolf Hitler meets with industrialists, big men, rich men, men who have managed to survive the depression with their fortunes intact. They are afraid. Afraid of the communists. Afraid of revolution. Afraid of losing everything. Hitler tells them what they want to hear. He will stop the communists. He will restore order. He will make Germany strong again. The industrialists write checks, big checks. They are buying insurance. They are buying protection. They do not know that they are buying a war. They do not know that they are buying their own destruction. They only know that they are afraid. And Hitler is the only one who seems to know what to do. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich shivers in his sleep. He is 4 years old. He has never known a world without hunger. He has never known a world without fear. He has never known a world where his father worked and his mother smiled. He does not know that in a few months everything will change, that a man with a mustache will become chancellor, that the brown shirts will march in the streets, that the hunger will end, that the fear will end, that something else will begin, something worse, something so terrible that even his mother, even Greta, who has seen so much, cannot imagine it. But that is still to come. For now there is only the cold, the hunger, the dark, and the rats in the courtyard, growing fat on garbage, waiting for whatever comes next. His name is Gustav Krupp. He is one of the richest men in Germany. He owns the Krupp works in Essen, the factory that made the cannons for the Kaiser's army, the steel that built the ships, the armor that protected the soldiers. Gustav Krupp was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but the spoon was made of Krupp steel. He has never known hunger. He has never known fear. Not really. Not the kind of fear that Friedrich knows in the cold room. Gustav Krupp fears only one thing: losing what he has. It is January 1933. Gustav Krupp is sitting in a leather chair in his mansion in Berlin. He is surrounded by men like himself, industrialists, bankers, owners, the men who control the real Germany, the Germany of coal and steel and money. They are not politicians. They do not need to be. They have always gotten what they wanted from politicians. They paid for the politicians. They owned the politicians. But now, something is wrong. The politicians are not working anymore. The democracy they built after the war, The Weimar Republic they tolerated because it kept the workers quiet is falling apart. The streets are full of communists. The workers are talking about revolution, taking the factories, taking the wealth, taking everything. Gustav Krupp looks around the room. He sees Fritz Thyssen, another steel baron. He sees Hjalmar Schacht, the former head of the Reichstag, a financial genius, or at least a man everyone calls a financial genius. He sees the faces of men who are afraid, men who have never been afraid before. They are afraid because they know something that the people in the breadlines do not know. They know that the system is broken, that the economy is not recovering, that the workers are running out of patience. And when the workers run out of patience, they do not vote. They riot. They revolt. They take. Gustav Krupp clears his throat. He says the name that everyone in the room has been thinking. Adolf Hitler. The man from the beer halls. The man with the mustache and the screaming voice. The man they have been supporting, quietly, carefully, for years. Not because they like him. Not because they believe his crazy ideas about race and blood and destiny. Because he is useful. Because he hates the communists. Because he promises to destroy the unions. Because he promises to make Germany strong again. Strong means rearming. Rearming means tanks. Tanks mean steel. Steel means Krupp. The men in the room nod. They have all given money to Hitler. Thyssen has given the most. Millions. He has been supporting the Nazis since the early days. The others have given less. Smaller donations. Secret donations. Money laundered through foreign accounts. Money that cannot be traced. They are not fools. They know Hitler is dangerous. This is the meeting that will change the world. The only one who can stop the communists. The only one who can save their factories, their fortunes, their families. This is the meeting that will change everything. This is the moment when the economic elite of Germany decides to put Adolf Hitler into power. Not through an election, not through the will of the people, through money, through influence, through the quiet, careful manipulation of a dying democracy. To understand how Hitler became chancellor, to understand how a failed artist and a disgraced soldier came to rule one of the most advanced nations on earth, we have to understand the money. The money that flowed into the Nazi Party. The money that bought the newspapers, the rallies, the uniforms, the guns. The money that turned a movement into a machine. It did not start with the big industrialists. In the early days, in the 1920s, the Nazi Party was poor. It met in beer halls. It printed leaflets on cheap paper. Its members were misfits, veterans who could not find work, students who could not find jobs, shopkeepers who were losing their businesses to the big department stores. They paid dues. They passed the hat. They survived on pennies. But even then there were patrons. Wealthy women mostly. Society ladies who thought Hitler was charming, who invited him to their salons, who introduced him to their husbands. The husbands were businessmen, industrialists, men who controlled money. They listened to Hitler. They did not always agree with him, but they noticed something. He drew crowds. He attracted attention. He might be useful someday. In 1929, when the Depression hit, the usefulness of Hitler became clear. The communists were surging. In the election of 1930, they won 4.5 million votes. 4.5 million Germans who wanted revolution, who wanted to take the factories, who wanted to hang the capitalists from the lampposts. The industrialists looked at those numbers and felt cold fear. They started giving more. Not just the society ladies, the real money, the corporate money, the money that came with strings attached. Fritz Thyssen was the first. He gave 1,000,000 marks, then another 1,000,000. He introduced Hitler to his friends. He said, "This man can save us. This man can stop the red tide." The other industrialists were slower. They were cautious men. They did not like risk. They watched. They waited. They saw the Nazis grow. They saw the communists grow too. They made a choice. The lesser evil. The devil they thought they could control. In 1931, Hitler began courting the industrialists seriously. He traveled to meetings. He gave speeches to closed audiences. He did not scream. He did not rant about Jews. He talked business. He talked about breaking the unions, about destroying the communists, about rearming Germany, about building roads and factories and tanks. The industrialists listened. They liked what they heard. They started writing checks. In January 1932, Hitler spoke at the Industry Club in Düsseldorf. The most powerful businessmen in Western Germany were there, the ones who controlled coal and steel and railroads. Hitler spoke for 2 hours. He did not mention Jews. He did not mention Lebensraum. He talked about the economy, about the need for order, about the danger of Marxism. He told them what they wanted to hear. At the end, they gave him a standing ovation. Then they gave him money. Lots of money. By the end of 1932, the Nazi Party was the best-funded political organization in Germany. It had offices everywhere. It had newspapers. It had fleets of trucks to move its stormtroopers. It had uniforms for every member. It had propaganda films and gramophone records and millions of leaflets. All of it paid for by men who thought they were buying protection. Men who thought they could control the monster they were feeding. But the monster was not easy to control. In the elections of 1932, the Nazis won 37% of the vote. 37%. More than any other party. But not a majority. Not enough to govern alone. Hitler demanded to be made chancellor. The old president, Hindenburg, refused. He despised Hitler, called him that Bohemian corporal, said he would never make him chancellor. Never. So Hitler waited. The Nazis kept fighting. The SA kept marching. The violence kept spreading. And the industrialists kept giving money. They were committed now. They had invested too much to back out. They needed Hitler in power. They needed him to deliver what he had promised. In November 1932, there was another election. The Nazis lost votes. 2 million of them. They were still the largest party, but they were slipping. The momentum was fading. The money might dry up. Hitler was desperate. He needed power now, before it was too late. In December, the industrialists made their move. They wrote a letter to President Hindenburg. A letter demanding that Hitler be appointed chancellor. It was signed by Krupp, by Thyssen, by the biggest names in German industry. They did not write it because they loved Hitler. They wrote it because they were afraid. Afraid of the communists, afraid of the chaos, afraid of losing everything. The letter worked. Hindenburg was old. He was tired. He was surrounded by advisors who wanted Hitler in power, men like Franz von Papen, a rich aristocrat who thought he could use Hitler, who thought he could control him, who thought he could put Hitler in a box and take him out when needed. Von Papen told Hindenburg that if they made Hitler chancellor, they could surround him with conservative ministers. They could keep him in check. They could use his popularity without giving him real power. Hindenburg agreed. On January 30th, 1933, he appointed Adolf Hitler Chancellor of Germany. It was a gray day. cold, ordinary. Hitler stood at the window of a hotel room, watching his supporters march in the streets. They carried torches. They sang songs. They cheered. They thought they had won. They thought their hero was in power. They did not know that he was put there by men in leather chairs, men who thought they owned him, men who would learn, too late, that no one owns Adolf Hitler. In the room on the courtyard, Greta heard the marching. She heard the singing. She heard the cheering. She did not go to the window. She did not care. She was trying to stretch a single potato into a meal for 3 people. She was trying to keep Friedrich from coughing. She was trying to survive another day. Politics was for other people. People with full stomachs. People with hope. Heinrich heard the marching too. He went to the window. He watched the torches. He listened to the songs. He felt something. Something he had not felt in years. Excitement. Hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe this was the change. Maybe this man, this Hitler, would finally do something. Heinrich did not know about the industrialists, did not know about the money, did not know that he was watching a deal being celebrated. A deal between the rich and the mad. He only knew that for the first time in years, something was happening. Something big. Something that felt like the future. In the mansion in Berlin, Gustav Krupp sat in his leather chair. He listened to the marching too. He smiled. He had gotten what he wanted. Hitler was chancellor. The communists would be crushed. The unions would be broken. The factories would be safe. He poured himself a brandy. He toasted the new era. He did not know that within a decade, his factories would be bombed to rubble, that his son would be put on trial for crimes against humanity, that the monster he had helped create would consume everything he loved. He only knew that tonight he had won. In the beer halls of Munich, the old Nazis celebrated. The ones who had been there since the beginning. The ones who had fought in the streets, who had been beaten by the police, who had gone to prison for the cause. They celebrated their victory. They did not know that they were already being pushed aside, that the real power would belong to the men in suits, the industrialists, the bankers, the ones who had bought the party and now expected to be paid back. In the streets, the torches flickered. The songs echoed off the buildings. The people marched and cheered and believed. They believed that their savior had arrived, that the hunger would end, that the fear would end, that Germany would be great again. They did not know that the hunger was about to be replaced by something else, that the fear was about to be turned outward, that the greatness would be measured in corpses. Friedrich woke up. He heard the noise. He was frightened. He did not understand what was happening. He called for his mother. Greta came. She held him. She told him it was nothing, just people celebrating, just noise, go back to sleep. He closed his eyes. He listened to the singing. It was strange music, harsh, rhythmic, not like the jazz his mother used to hum. He did not like it. He buried his face in his mother's chest and tried to disappear. In the morning, everything looked the same gray sky, the same cold room, the same hunger. But something had changed, something in the air, something in the way people looked at each other. The neighbors who passed in the hallway, the ones who had been silent for years. They nodded. They almost smiled. They had hope. Hope was the most dangerous thing of all. Greta did not feel hope. She felt nothing. She had learned not to feel. Feeling was a luxury she could not afford. She got up. She made the thin soup. She fed Friedrich. She waited for Heinrich to come back from the line. The same routine, the same survival, the same day, repeated over and over until death. But Heinrich did not come back from the line. Not right away. He stood in line for an hour. Then he left. He walked to a different part of the city, a part where the Nazis had their offices. He stood outside. He watched the men in brown shirts go in and out. He watched them salute each other. He watched them laugh. He wanted to go in. He wanted to join. He wanted to be part of something. He stood there for a long time, then he turned and walked home. He was not ready. Not yet. But he was getting there. They were all getting there. One by one. Hungry by hungry. Desperate by desperate. They were all getting there. In the mansion, Gustav Krupp prepared for a meeting. A meeting with the new chancellor. He would discuss rearmament. He would discuss contracts. He would discuss the future. He put on his best suit. He checked his watch. He was ready. He did not know that he was walking into a trap, that the man he had helped put in power would use him and discard him, that the steel he was so proud of would be forged into weapons that would destroy his world. In the beer hall, the old Nazis drank and sang and remembered. They remembered the early days, the days when they were poor and pure. They did not like the new people, the rich people, the ones who had bought their way in. But they said nothing. They needed the money. They needed the power. They told themselves it was temporary, that once the revolution was complete, they would deal with the profiteers. They did not know that the profiteers were already dealing with them. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich ate his soup. He was 5 years old now. He did not know what a chancellor was. He did not know what a Nazi was. He did not know that his life was about to change, that the hunger would end, that the cold would end, that something else would begin. Something that would take him, when he was old enough, and put him in a uniform and send him to a place called Stalingrad, where he would freeze and starve and die, just like his grandfather had frozen and starved and died in the winter of 1923. The circle would close, the debt would be paid, but not yet. Not yet. For now, there was only the soup, the thin, warm soup, and the sound of marching, far away, and the feeling in the air that something was coming, something big, something terrible, something that had been paid for in leather chairs by men who thought they were buying safety. They were buying war. They just did not know it yet. His name is Marinus van der Lubbe. He is 24 years old. He is Dutch. He is a communist. He is also, by most accounts, not entirely sane. On the night of February 27th, 1933, just 4 weeks after Hitler became chancellor, van der Lubbe walks through the snow to the Reichstag building in Berlin. The Reichstag is the German parliament, the home of German democracy. It is a massive building, old, grand, full of history. Van der Lubbe carries with him firelighters, small pieces of flammable material. He strips off his shirt. He uses it as a torch. He sets fire to the building in multiple places. Then he waits to be caught. The fire spreads quickly. The dome glows orange against the night sky. Berlin wakes up to the news that the parliament is burning. By morning, van der Lubbe is in custody. He confesses immediately. He says he did it to protest the condition of the working class. He says he acted alone. No one believes him. Not the Nazis. Not the communists. Not the newspapers. Not the people in the streets. Everyone assumes this is a conspiracy. The Nazis say the communists did it to start a revolution. The communists say the Nazis did it to create an excuse for repression. The truth, whatever it is, will be debated for decades. But the truth does not matter. What matters is what happens next. Adolf Hitler is having dinner at the home of Joseph Goebbels when the news arrives. He is told that the Reichstag is on fire. He does not hesitate. He does not wait for evidence. He does not wait for investigations. He gets in a car and drives to the scene. He stands in the smoking ruins and turns to the men around him. He says, "This is a sign from God." He says, "This is the beginning of the communist uprising." He says, "Now we will crush them. Now we will crush them all." The next day, Hitler goes to President Hindenburg. He carries with him a decree, the decree for the protection of the people and the state. It is a simple document. It suspends all civil rights in Germany. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, privacy of mail and telephone, all gone, suspended indefinitely. It also gives the central government the power to take over any state government that does not maintain order. It is, in effect, the end of the Weimar Republic, the end of German democracy. Hindenburg signs it. He is old, he is tired, he is afraid. He signs it. In the days that follow, the terror begins. The SA, the brown shirts, fan out across Germany. They have lists, long lists, names and addresses of communists, socialists, trade unionists, journalists, lawyers, anyone who ever spoke against the Nazis, anyone who might speak against them in the future. They knock on doors in the middle of the night, they drag people from their beds, they beat them, they arrest them, they take them to makeshift prisons, basements, abandoned factories, the first concentration camps. In Berlin alone, 4,000 people are arrested in the first week. Across Germany, the number reaches 10,000, then 20,000, then more. The prisons fill up. The camps fill up. The SA runs out of space. They keep arresting anyway. They are drunk on power, drunk on revenge. They have waited years for this, years of fighting in the streets, years of being beaten by the police, years of watching their comrades die. Now they are the police. Now they are the ones with the clubs. They do not stop. In the room on the courtyard, Greta hears the knocking. Not at her door. At the door downstairs. The teacher. The one who taught Latin and Greek. The one whose wife died of pneumonia. The one whose daughters go out at night. The SA men drag him out. He does not resist. He is too old, too weak, too tired. His daughters scream. The SA men laugh. They push the old man down the stairs. They shove him into a truck. He is never seen again. His daughters disappear too. A few weeks later, into the same nothing, the same silence. Greta watches from the window. She holds Friedrich close. She does not make a sound. She has learned that silence is survival, that the only way to live is to be invisible, to not be noticed, to not be on any list. She pulls the curtain closed. She goes back to the stove. She makes the thin soup. She waits. In the beer halls, the old Nazis celebrate. They have won. Their enemies are in prison. Their leader is chancellor. Germany is theirs. They drink and sing and dream of the future. They do not know that they are being used, that the real power is moving elsewhere, that the men in suits, the industrialists, the bankers, are already planning the next phase, the phase of profit, the phase of rearmament, the phase of war. In the factories, the workers are afraid. The ones who are communists hide their membership cards, burn them, flush them down toilets. They go to work. They keep their heads down. They do not talk politics. They do not talk at all. The ones who were Nazis, the ones who joined the party years ago, strut. They wear their brown shirts under their work clothes. They report their co-workers, the ones who made jokes, the ones who complained, the ones who might be trouble. The factories become places of fear. Everyone watches everyone. No one trusts anyone. In the government offices, the civil servants go to work as usual. Most of them are not Nazis. Most of them are just bureaucrats, men who want to keep their jobs, men who want to feed their families. They adapt. They learn to salute. They learn to say Heil Hitler when they answer the phone. They learn to look the other way. It is easy. It is just survival. They tell themselves it is temporary, that things will calm down, that the madness will pass. It does not pass. It grows. In March, there is another election, the last election. The Nazis campaign with the full power of the state. They control the radio. They control the newspapers. They control the streets. Their stormtroopers stand outside polling places. They do not tell people how to vote. They do not have to. The message is clear. Vote for Hitler, or else. The election gives the Nazis 44% of the vote. Still not a majority. But enough. With the help of their nationalist allies, they have a majority in parliament. They have the votes they need. On March 23, 1933, the Reichstag meets. Not in the burned building, in the Kroll Opera House. They are asked to pass the Enabling Act, a law that gives Hitler the power to make laws without parliament, without the president, without anyone, for 4 years. It is the end of democracy, the end of the rule of law, the end of everything the Weimar Republic was supposed to be. The Social Democrats, the ones who are not already in prison or hiding, vote against it. All of them. 94 men. They stand and vote no. They know it is useless. They know they will be arrested. They know they may be killed. They vote no anyway. The communists are not there to vote. They are already in camps. The other parties vote yes. All of them. The Catholic Center Party, the Nationalists, the small parties. They vote yes. They vote to give Hitler absolute power. They vote to destroy themselves. The Enabling Act passes by 444 votes to 94. Germany is no longer a democracy. It is a dictatorship. It happened in 2 months. 2 months from the day Hitler became chancellor, 2 months of fire and fear and arrests, 2 months to destroy a republic that lasted 14 years. The speed is staggering. The silence of the people is staggering. No one protests. No one marches. No one fights. They are too tired, too hungry, too afraid. They just want peace. They just want order. They just want to survive. In the room on the courtyard, Greta knows nothing about the Enabling Act. She does not know what a dictatorship means. She only knows that Heinrich came home with a job, a real job, working on the new roads, the autobahns. Hitler promised work. Now there is work. Heinrich leaves early every morning. He comes home late. He is tired. But he is working. He is earning money. Real money. Not much, but enough. Enough for coal. Enough for bread. Enough for milk. Real milk. For Friedrich. Friedrich drinks the milk. He does not remember milk. He does not remember what it tastes like. He drinks it slowly, carefully, savoring every drop. His belly does not swell anymore. His hair stops falling out. He gains weight. He starts to look like a normal child. He starts to play. Not much, just a little, with a stick, with a stone, with anything he can find. He is 5 years old. He is learning what it means to be alive. Greta watches him play. She feels something she has not felt in years: gratitude. She is grateful to Hitler. She does not know about the camps, does not know about the arrests, does not know about the teacher downstairs who disappeared. She only knows that her husband has work, that her son has milk, that the hunger is over. She does not ask how. She does not want to know. She just wants to live. In the factories, the workers who kept their heads down are relieved. The ones who reported their co-workers are proud. The ones who disappeared are forgotten. No one mentions them. No one asks what happened. It is dangerous to ask. It is dangerous to remember. The past is the past. The future is work. The future is order. The future is Hitler. In the mansions, the industrialists are satisfied. The unions are gone. The strikes are over. The workers do what they are told. Production is increasing. Profits are increasing. The rearmament contracts are coming. Big contracts, tanks, ships, airplanes, the money is flowing. Gustav Krupp is happy. He gives another donation to the Nazi Party. He hosts Hitler at his mansion. He introduces him to more businessmen. He is building the future. He does not see the future. He only sees the profit. In the camps, the prisoners are beaten. They are starved. They are worked to death. The first camps are not the death factories of the war. They are something else. Places of terror. Places of torture. Places where enemies of the regime disappear. The SA runs them. The SA is brutal, uncontrolled. The regular police stay away. The courts stay away. No one investigates. No one asks questions. The prisoners are communists, socialists, trade unionists, Jews. No one cares about them. No one speaks for them. They are alone. In the newspapers, the propaganda fills every page. Hitler is the savior. Hitler is the father of the nation. Hitler is building a new Germany. The newspapers print pictures of the new roads, the new factories, the happy workers. They do not print pictures of the camps. They do not print pictures of the beaten prisoners. They do not print the names of the disappeared. The journalists who might have printed them are in the camps. The ones who remain print what they are told. They are professionals. They are survivors. They are cowards. They are all of these things. In the streets, the SA still marches. But now they are the police. Now they are the law. People step aside when they pass. People salute. People smile. The smiles are fake. The salutes are required. But the people do it. They do it because they have no choice. They do it because everyone else does it. They do it because it is easier than fighting. In the schools, the teachers start to change. The ones who were Nazis are promoted. The ones who were not learn to keep quiet. The curriculum changes. History is rewritten. Biology is rewritten. The children learn about race, about blood, about the master race. They learn to hate. They learn to salute. They learn that Hitler is their father, their leader, their God. Friedrich will start school next year. He will learn these things. He will learn to hate. He will learn to salute. He will learn that Jews are evil, that communists are vermin, that Germany is the greatest nation on earth. He will learn all of this from teachers who are afraid, from books that are lies, from a world that has gone mad. He will believe it. He is 6 years old. He believes what he is told. Greta does not know this. She does not think about school. She thinks about milk, about coal, about the future. The future looks bright. Heinrich has work. Friedrich is healthy. The apartment is warm. For the first time in years, she sleeps through the night. She does not dream of rats. She does not dream of hunger. She dreams of nothing, just sleep. Deep, peaceful sleep. In the beer halls, the old Nazis are restless. They fought for the revolution. They expected rewards. They expected power. But the rewards are going to others, to the industrialists, to the bureaucrats, to the men in suits. The SA is still there, still marching, still beating prisoners. But the real power is moving elsewhere, to the SS, to Himmler, to the men who are building a new kind of camp, a new kind of terror. The old Nazis do not understand. They will understand soon enough. In the night of the long knives, in the summer of 1934, when Hitler turns on them, when he murders their leaders, when he purges his own movement, they will understand then. But it will be too late. In the room on the courtyard, the silence returns. Not the silence of hunger, the silence of fear, the silence of people who have learned not to ask questions, not to notice, not to remember. The teacher is gone, his daughters are gone. No one mentions them. No one asks where they went. The new tenants move in, a Nazi family. The father is in the SA. The mother stays home. The children go to the Hitler Youth. They are loud. They are proud. They are the future. Greta does not look at them. She does not speak to them. She keeps her head down. She keeps Friedrich inside. She keeps the curtain closed. She survives. That is all. She survives. In the Chancellery, Hitler plans the next phase. The economy is improving, the people are grateful, the opposition is crushed. But it is not enough. It will never be enough. He needs more. More land. More resources. More power. He needs war. He has always needed war. The economy he is building, the rearmament, the autobahns, the factories, all of it is aimed at one thing: war. Without war, the economy will collapse. Without war, the movement will stagnate. Without war, Hitler is nothing. He looks at the map, at the lands to the east, at the resources he needs, at the enemies he must destroy. He knows it will take time, years. He must rearm. He must rebuild. He must prepare the people. But the path is clear. The path is war. It was always war. From the beginning. From the beer halls. From the prison. From the first speech. War is the goal. War is the meaning. War is the end. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich sleeps. He is 5 years old. He has milk in his belly. He has coal in the stove. He has a future. He does not know that the future is a uniform, that the future is a frozen field in Russia, that the future is a grave with his name on it. He only knows that tonight he is warm. Tonight he is not hungry. Tonight he is alive. That is enough. For now. His name is Friedrich, but he is not the old Friedrich, the cabinet maker who died bitter and broken. He is not the baby Friedrich, the one who nearly starved in the cold room. He is a new Friedrich, a different Friedrich. It is 1936. Friedrich is 7 years old. He goes to school now. He wears a uniform. Not a military uniform. Not yet. A Hitler Youth uniform. Short pants. Brown shirt. A swastika armband. He wears it with pride. He does not know why he is proud. He only knows that everyone wears it, that the boys who do not wear it are strange, are outsiders, are not real Germans. Friedrich walks to school every morning. He marches. The teachers call it marching. They line the boys up. They make them walk in straight lines. They make them sing. The songs are about blood, about soil, about dying for Germany. Friedrich does not understand the words, not really, but he likes the singing. He likes the marching. He likes the way his feet hit the ground together with the other boys. It feels like belonging. It feels like power. It feels like the opposite of the cold room, the opposite of hunger, the opposite of fear. In the classroom, the lessons have changed. There is a new subject, race science. The teacher shows pictures of blonde children, blue eyes, straight noses. These are the Aryans, the teacher says, the master race. Then other pictures, dark hair, dark eyes, hooked noses. These are the Jews, the teacher says, the enemies of Germany, the parasites, the vermin. Friedrich looks at the pictures. He does not understand why one is good and one is bad. They are just faces. But he learns. They all learn. They learn to see the difference. They learn to feel the hate. They learn that some people deserve to live and some people deserve to die. This is Germany in 1936. This is the new Germany. The Germany that rose from the ashes of depression. The Germany that Hitler built. On the surface, it is a miracle. The unemployment that plagued the Weimar years is gone. 6 million jobless in 1932. Fewer than 1 million in 1936. The factories are running. The roads are being built. The cities are clean. The people have food. They have work. They have hope. They look at Hitler and they see a savior. They do not see the price. They do not want to see. The price is being paid in places they do not look. In the concentration camps, where political prisoners are worked to death, building the new Germany. In the factories, where wages are frozen and unions are banned and workers cannot complain. In the stores, where Jewish businesses are boycotted and Jewish owners are beaten and no one intervenes. In the streets, where the Gestapo watches and the SS patrols, and everyone knows that one wrong word can mean disappearance. The price is also being paid in the economy itself. The recovery is real, but it is not normal. It is not sustainable. It is built on one thing: rearmament, guns, tanks, airplanes, ships. The factories that were idle in 1932 are now running 24 hours a day, making weapons of war. The men who were standing in bread lines are now standing at assembly lines, building bombs. The miracle is a mirage. The prosperity is a preparation for death. In 1936, Hitler announces the 4-year plan. He puts Hermann Göring in charge. Göring is a fat man, a former fighter pilot, a drug addict, a brutal, greedy, ruthless man. He is perfect for the job. The 4-year plan has one goal: prepare Germany for war within 4 years. Make the German economy self-sufficient, so that when war comes, Germany cannot be blockaded, cannot be starved, cannot be defeated like it was in 1918. This means synthetic fuel. Germany has no oil, but it has coal, lots of coal. The scientists figure out how to make gasoline from coal. It is expensive. It is inefficient. But it works. Factories are built. Huge factories. They burn coal to make fuel to burn in tanks. It is insane. But it is also necessary. Without it, Germany cannot fight. This means synthetic rubber. Germany has no rubber. The rubber comes from colonies, from places Germany does not own. So the scientists figure out how to make rubber from coal and limestone. It is not as good as real rubber, but it works. The tires are made, the tanks roll. This means steel, more steel than ever before. The Krupp works in Essen-Expand, new furnaces, new forges, new workers, thousands of them. They work 12-hour shifts. They are paid well. They are fed well. They are watched constantly. The Gestapo has informants in every factory. One joke about Hitler, one complaint about conditions, one moment of carelessness, and the worker disappears. To a camp, to a cell, to nothing. The workers know this. They keep their heads down, they work, they collect their pay, they go home, they do not talk. In the countryside, the farmers are told what to grow. No more choice, no more markets. The state decides. The state needs grain, needs potatoes, needs meat. The farmers are paid. Not much, but enough. They do what they are told. They have no choice. The ones who resist lose their land. The ones who complain disappear. The countryside becomes quiet, just like the cities, just like everything. In the schools, Friedrich learns more. He learns about Lebensraum, living space. The teacher shows a map. Germany is small, the teacher says, too small for the German people. We need more land. Land in the east, land in Poland, land in Russia, land that belongs to inferior races. Slavs, Untermenschen, subhumans. They will be cleared out, moved out, killed if necessary. The German people will take their land. We'll farm it. We'll live on it. We'll thrive. Friedrich looks at the map. He does not understand why Germany needs more land. Germany seems big to him. He has never been outside his city, never seen a farm, never seen a forest. But he believes. He believes because the teacher says it, because the books say it, because everyone says it. He believes that Germany must grow, must fight, must win. He is 7 years old. He is already a soldier. In 1936, something else happens. The Olympics come to Berlin. The world comes to Germany. Athletes from everywhere, journalists from everywhere, tourists from everywhere. The Nazis prepare, they clean the streets, they hide the camps, they hide the signs, they hide the violence. They want to show the world a new Germany, a peaceful Germany, a prosperous Germany. The world is impressed. The athletes compete. The crowds cheer. The flags wave. The cameras roll. No one sees the truth. No one wants to see. In the room on the courtyard, things are better. Much better. Heinrich has a good job now. At the factory. The new factory. The one making parts for airplanes. He works long hours. But he is paid well. The apartment is warm. There is always food. Greta has new clothes. Not many, but some. She has a radio. She listens to Hitler's speeches. She does not understand politics. She does not try. She just listens. She likes his voice. Strong, confident, certain. He tells his mother about the races. Tells his mother about the races. About the Aryans. About the Jews. Greta listens. She does not correct him. She does not know what to correct. She has never met a Jew. Not really. There were Jews in Leipzig before. Shopkeepers, doctors, lawyers. They seemed like normal people. But maybe they were not. Maybe the teacher is right. She does not know. She does not think about it. She has dinner to make. She has a husband to feed. She has a life to live. Thinking is dangerous. Thinking is unnecessary. Thinking leads to questions. Questions lead to trouble. In 1937, the pace quickens. More factories, more weapons, more soldiers. The army is growing. It is no longer 100,000 men. It is 500,000. It is 1,000,000. The draft is reintroduced. Every young man must serve, must learn to kill, must be ready to die. The generals are happy. The industrialists are happy. Hitler is happy. The people are happy. Everyone is happy except the ones who are not. The ones in camps. The ones in hiding. The ones who are being erased. In 1938, Hitler makes his move. First, Austria. Austria is German-speaking. Austrian Nazis have been causing chaos for years. Hitler demands that Austria be united with Germany. The Austrian chancellor tries to resist. He calls for a vote, a plebiscite. Let the people decide. Hitler does not wait. He sends the army. The tanks roll in. The people cheer. Most of them. They cheer because they are afraid. They cheer because they are relieved. They cheer because they have been told that this is their destiny. Austria becomes part of Germany. No one stops it. The world watches. The world does nothing. Then Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland, the part of Czechoslovakia where Germans live. Hitler demands it. He threatens war. The British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain flies to Germany. He meets with Hitler. He agrees to give Hitler what he wants. Peace in our time, Chamberlain says. When he returns, he waves a piece of paper. He is cheered. He is hailed as a hero. He has saved the world from war. He has also given Hitler everything: the factories of Czechoslovakia, the weapons, the resources, all of it, without a fight. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich listens to the radio. He hears about the Sudetenland. He hears about the German brothers who are now free. He is proud. He is 9 years old. He is part of something great, something powerful, something that cannot be stopped. He wears his Hitler Youth uniform everywhere. He marches in parades. He sings the songs. He dreams of being a soldier, of fighting for Germany, of dying for Germany. He does not know what dying means. Not really. He only knows that it is glorious, that it is honorable, that it is what boys do. Greta watches him. She sees the fire in his eyes. She remembers her own eyes 20 years ago, the hunger, the cold, the fear. She is glad he does not know those things, glad he has never stood in a bread line, glad he has never burned money for warmth. She does not see what he is becoming. She does not want to see. She just wants him to be safe, to be happy, to be alive. In 1939, the noose tightens. Hitler demands more. This time Poland, the Polish corridor, the land that separates Germany from East Prussia, the city of Danzig, which is German but governed by the League of Nations. Hitler wants it all. The Poles refuse. They have guarantees from Britain and France. If Germany attacks, Britain and France will fight. Hitler does not believe it. He thinks they are bluffing. He thinks they will cave, like they did before. He is wrong. But by the time he realizes it, it will be too late. In August, Hitler makes a deal. A shocking deal. A deal with the devil. He signs a non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union, the communists, the enemies, the ones he has sworn to destroy. They agree to divide Poland between them. They agree not to fight each other. It is a cynical deal, a temporary deal, a deal that frees Hitler to attack Poland without worrying about the Red Army. The world is stunned. The communists and the Nazis, allies, it makes no sense. But it is real. It is done. On September 1st, 1939, the German army invades Poland. The tanks roll. The planes fly. The bombs fall. The Poles fight. They fight bravely. They fight hopelessly. They are overwhelmed. In weeks, it is over. Poland is divided. Germany takes the West. The Soviet Union takes the East. The war has begun. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich hears the news. He is 10 years old. He is excited. Finally, the great adventure. Finally, the glory. He does not hear the screams, does not see the blood, does not smell the burning. He only hears the marching songs, the radio announcements, the victory speeches. He wants to be part of it. He wants to go. He wants to fight. His mother holds him close. She does not say anything, she just holds him. She remembers 1914. She remembers the last war, the one that was supposed to be over by Christmas. The one that lasted 4 years and killed 10 million and destroyed her father and left Germany in ruins. She remembers. But she does not speak. Speaking is dangerous. Speaking is useless. She just holds her son and prays. Prays that this time will be different. Prays that he will be safe. Prays that the nightmare will not come back. But the nightmare is already here. It is wearing a uniform. It is marching in the streets. It is singing in the schools. It is sleeping in the bed next to her. The nightmare is her son, her country, her life. And it is only beginning. In the factories, the workers work harder, longer shifts, more production. The war needs tanks, needs planes, needs bullets. The workers do not complain. They cannot complain. The ones who complain disappear. The ones who slow down disappear. The ones who are not perfect disappear. The factory becomes a machine. The workers become parts of the machine. They are fed. They are paid. They are watched. They are used. When they break, they are replaced. There are always more. Always. In the camps, the prisoners work too. They work until they die. They are the ones who are not German. The ones who are enemies. The ones who are subhuman. Jews, Poles, Russians, communists, homosexuals. They are worked to death, starved to death, beaten to death, shot to death, gassed to death. The camps are not yet the death factories they will become. But they are getting there. They are learning. They are practicing. They are preparing for the final solution. In the Chancellery, Hitler plans the next move. Poland is just the beginning. France is next. Then Britain. Then Russia. Then the world. He does not see the limits, does not see the dangers, does not see that he is repeating the mistakes of Napoleon, of the Kaiser, of every empire that tried to conquer too much. He is blinded by success, by the easy victories, by the cheering crowds. He believes his own propaganda. He believes he is chosen. He believes he cannot fail. In the room on the courtyard, Friedrich goes to sleep. He dreams of glory, of marching into Paris, of standing on the ruins of Moscow, of being a hero. He does not dream of the cold, the hunger, the fear. Those dreams are over. They have been replaced by new dreams, dreams of fire and blood and victory. He is 10 years old. He is a soldier. He is Germany. And Germany is marching toward the abyss. His name is Friedrich. He is 10 years old. It is September 1939. He stands at the window of the apartment on the courtyard, the same window where his mother once watched the rats, the same window where his grandfather once watched the snow fall on a world that had abandoned him. Friedrich is watching something different. He is watching his father march away. Heinrich is in uniform. Not the brown shirt of the SA, the field gray of the Wehrmacht, the regular army. He was called up last week. All the men from the factory, all the men who were young enough, fit enough, useful enough. They were told to report to the barracks. They were given rifles. They were given uniforms. They were given train tickets to the east, to Poland, to the war. Heinrich does not want to go. He is 41 years old. He has a wife, a son, a job. He has survived the hunger, the depression, the fear. He has built something, a life, small, ordinary, precious. He does not want to leave it. He does not want to die in some Polish field for a man he barely understands. But he has no choice. No one has a choice. Not anymore. The choice was made years ago, in beer halls, in boardrooms, in back rooms where men with money decided that this was the future. Heinrich is just paying for their choice, with his life, with everything. He stands in the courtyard. He holds Greta. He holds Friedrich. He does not speak. There is nothing to say. He kisses them. He turns. He walks away. He does not look back. If he looked back, he might not keep walking. If he looked back, he might run. If he looked back, they would shoot him. So he does not look back. He just walks. Out of the courtyard, into the street, into the crowd of other men in gray, into the train, into the east, into the war. Greta watches until she cannot see him anymore. Then she goes inside. She closes the door. She sits at the kitchen table. She does not cry. She has no tears left. She cried them all in the winter of 1932. She cried them all when Friedrich was starving. She cried them all when the teacher disappeared. Now there is nothing, just emptiness, just waiting, just the hope that he will come back, the hope that is already dying. Friedrich watches from the window. He watches the men march away. He hears the singing, the songs about dying for Germany, about blood and honor and glory. He wants to go with them. He is 10 years old. He does not understand what dying means. He only understands that his father is a hero, that all the fathers are heroes, that this is the greatest moment in German history. He believes this because he has been taught it, because everyone believes it, because believing anything else is too terrible. This is the 8th chapter. This is the reckoning. This is the moment when all the threads come together. The threads that started in Versailles, that tightened in the hyperinflation, that snapped in the crash, that were reknotted by the Nazis, that were pulled tight by rearmament, that are now pulling Germany into the abyss. This is the moment when the bill comes due, and the payment will be made in blood. To understand how we got here, to understand why Friedrich is watching his father march to war, we have to go back just a few months. To the spring of 1939, to the city of Danzig. Danzig is a port on the Baltic Sea. It is mostly German. German people, German culture, German history. But after Versailles, it was separated from Germany. Made a free city. Governed by the League of Nations. Poland was given a corridor to the sea. A strip of land that cut Germany in two. East Prussia was cut off from the rest of the country. It was a wound, an insult, a constant reminder of defeat. Hitler has spent years demanding that Danzig be returned, that the corridor be reopened, that the insult be erased. In 1938, after Austria and Czechoslovakia, he thought it would be easy. He thought the Western powers would cave again. He thought they would give him what he wanted without a fight. He was wrong. In March 1939, Britain changed. Chamberlain, the man of peace, the man who gave Hitler everything, finally understood. He understood that Hitler could not be trusted, that appeasement did not work, that giving Hitler what he wanted only made him want more. Britain guaranteed Poland. If Germany attacked, Britain would fight. France joined the guarantee. For the first time, Hitler faced a real threat. A war on two fronts. A war he might not win. But Hitler did not believe it. He thought Britain was bluffing. He thought France was too weak. He thought they would talk. They would negotiate. They would give him Danzig and the corridor, and then go back to sleep. He was wrong. But by the time he realized it, it was too late. The machine was already moving. The generals were already planning. The troops were already massing. To stop now would be weakness. And Hitler could not afford weakness. Not with the generals watching. Not with the people watching. Not with his own followers watching. He had to go forward. He had to risk everything. On August 23rd, 1939, Hitler made his deal with Stalin. The pact that shocked the world. The non-aggression treaty between the two mortal enemies. The secret protocol that divided Poland between them. It was a masterpiece of cynicism. A deal with the devil that gave Hitler what he needed most. Freedom from a two-front war. At least for now. On August 31st, Hitler gave the order. The attack would begin at dawn. The targets were Poland. The objectives were destruction. Not just victory. Not just conquest, destruction. The Polish people were to be enslaved. The Polish leaders were to be killed. The Polish culture was to be erased. This was not a normal war. This was a war of annihilation, a war of racial ideology, a war that would set the pattern for everything that followed. At 4:45 on the morning of September 1st, 1939, the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein opened fire on the Polish garrison at Westerplatte, near Danzig. The first shots of the Second World War. Within minutes, the Luftwaffe was in the air. Stukas screaming down on Polish airfields. Bombs falling on Polish cities. The Polish Air Force was destroyed on the ground. The Polish army was overwhelmed by the speed of the German advance. Blitzkrieg. Lightning war. Tanks punching through. Infantry following. Air support above. The Poles fought. They fought bravely. They fought hopelessly. They were outnumbered, outgunned, outthought. In 2 weeks it was over. In 4 weeks, Poland ceased to exist. In the room on the courtyard, Greta listens to the radio. The announcements of victory. The lists of captured cities. The numbers of prisoners. The boasts of the generals. She does not feel victorious. She feels nothing. She waits for a letter, a sign, anything from Heinrich. Nothing comes. Days pass. Weeks. Nothing. She does not know if he is alive, if he is wounded, if he is dead. She only knows that he is gone, that the war has taken him, that he may never come back. Friedrich goes to school. The lessons are different now. More intense. More urgent. The teacher talks about the enemy, about the Poles, about the Jews, about the inferior races that must be eliminated. The teacher shows films, newsreels from the front, German tanks crushing Polish cavalry, German planes bombing Polish cities, German soldiers marching through Polish streets. The children cheer. They are winning. They are the masters. They are the future. Friedrich cheers too. He cheers because everyone cheers. He cheers because it is expected. He cheers because cheering drowns out the fear. The fear that his father will not come home. The fear that his mother is crying in the kitchen when she thinks he cannot hear. The fear that something terrible is coming. Something that no amount of cheering can stop. In the autumn of 1939, the war in the West is quiet. The French sit behind the Maginot Line. The British send an army to France. The Germans wait. Everyone waits. The phony war. The Sitzkrieg. The calm before the storm. No one knows what will happen. No one knows when the storm will break. But everyone knows it will. Everyone knows that this is just the beginning. In the East, the Germans are not waiting. They are busy. Busy with the occupation. Busy with the pacification. Busy with the killing. The Einsatzgruppen follow the army. Special units. Death squads. Their job is to eliminate the enemies of the Reich, the intellectuals, the priests, the leaders, the Jews. They shoot them in fields, in forests, in town squares. They shoot men, women, children. They shoot until they are tired. Then they shoot some more. The bodies pile up. The graves are dug. The killing continues. This is not war. This is murder. But no one calls it that, not yet, not out loud. In the factories, the workers work harder. More tanks, more planes, more bullets. The war is consuming everything. The prosperity of the 1930s was built on war preparation. Now the war is here. Now the consumption is real. The workers are told they are heroes, that they are supporting the troops, that they are building victory. They believe it. They have to believe it. Believing anything else is impossible. In the camps, the prisoners work too. They work until they die. The camps are filling up. Poles, Czechs, French, Jews. Soon there will be more. Many more. The camps are not just prisons anymore. They are factories. Factories of death. The SS is learning, experimenting, finding the most efficient ways to kill. The gas vans, the carbon monoxide, the experiments will continue, the methods will improve, the numbers will rise, from thousands to millions, from millions to millions more. In the room on the courtyard, Greta gets a letter. It is from the army, official, stamped. She opens it with shaking hands. It says that Heinrich is missing in action, presumed dead. It says that his unit was overrun, that he did not return, that they are sorry, that they will notify her if they learn more. She reads it 3 times. She does not understand. Missing. What does missing mean? Is he dead? Is he captured? Is he lying in a field somewhere, wounded, calling for help? She does not know. She will never know. Heinrich is gone. That is all. Gone. She does not tell Friedrich. Not right away. She waits. She tries to find the words. There are no words. How do you tell a 10-year-old boy that his father is dead? How do you tell him that the war he cheers for has taken his father? That the glory is a lie? That the songs are about corpses? She cannot. She does not. She says nothing. She just holds him. She holds him and does not let go. In the spring of 1940, the storm breaks. The Germans attack in the west, Holland, Belgium, France. The Blitzkrieg works again. The Dutch surrender in 4 days. The Belgians in 2 weeks. The French in 6 weeks. The British escape at Dunkirk, but they leave their equipment behind. France falls. Hitler dances a jig. He is the master of Europe, from the Pyrenees to the Polish border. All his, all conquered, all waiting to be shaped into his new order. In Berlin, the crowds cheer. Hitler is a genius, the greatest military commander in history, the man who avenged Versailles, the man who made Germany great. The crowds do not see the costs, do not see the dead, do not see the missing, do not see the mothers weeping in their kitchens. They only see the victory, the parades, the flags, the future. In the room on the courtyard, Greta sees none of this. She sees the letter, the empty chair, the bed where Heinrich used to sleep. She sees Friedrich, growing thinner again. Not from hunger, from worry, from the weight of a secret he does not even know he carries. She sees the future, empty, dark, nothing. In the summer of 1940, Hitler turns east, not yet, not physically, but in his mind. The real enemy is there, the Soviet Union, the land of the Slavs, the land of the Jews, the land that must be conquered, the land that will give Germany Lebensraum, living space. He starts planning. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of Russia, the biggest military operation in history. Millions of men, thousands of tanks, hundreds of thousands of horses, all of it aimed east, all of it aimed at destruction. In the factories, the workers build more tanks, more planes, more bullets. The war is expanding, the demand is endless. The workers are exhausted. They work 12 hours, 14 hours. They collapse at their machines. They are replaced. There are always more. Prisoners now. Forced laborers from the conquered territories. They work beside Germans. They work for nothing. They work until they die. The factories are becoming camps. The camps are becoming factories. The lines blur. Everything blurs. In the schools, Friedrich learns more about the enemy, about the Slavs, the subhumans, the ones who must be eliminated. He learns about the new order, the 1,000-year Reich, the German Empire that will last forever. He believes it. He is 11 now. He has never known anything else. He has never questioned. He does not know how. In the winter of 1941, the invasion begins. June, 3 million men, 3,000 tanks, 2,000 aircraft, the largest invasion force in history. They sweep east. They capture millions of prisoners. They advance hundreds of miles. They reach the gates of Moscow. Then the winter comes. The Russian winter. The same winter that destroyed Napoleon. The Germans are not prepared. No winter clothing, no winter equipment, no winter training. They freeze, they die, the advance stops, the counterattack begins. The war that was supposed to be over in months will last 4 years, will cost millions of lives, will destroy everything. In the room on the courtyard, Greta listens to the radio. The announcements are different now. Not victories, not conquests, defensive battles, strategic withdrawals, hard fighting. She does not understand military terms. She understands one thing. It is not going well. The men are not coming home. The letters are not coming. The bodies are piling up. Somewhere out there in the snow, Heinrich is lying. Or not. She does not know. She will never know. In 1943, Friedrich is 14. He is old enough now, old enough to be useful. The Hitler Youth is no longer just marching and singing. It is training, real training, rifles, grenades, tactics. The boys are being prepared to die. The war is consuming everything, every man, every boy, every resource. The Russians are advancing, the Americans and British are coming from the west. Germany is surrounded. Germany is doomed. But no one says that. No one can say that. Saying that is defeatism. Defeatism is death. In 1944, Friedrich is called up. Not to the army, to the Volkssturm, the People's Storm, the last reserve, old men and boys, armed with whatever is left. Rifles from the last war, Panzerfausts, one-shot anti-tank weapons. They are sent to the front, to the east, to stop the Russians. They are told they are heroes, that they are saving Germany, that they will win. They are 15, 16, 17. They have never shaved, never kissed a girl, never lived. They are sent to die. Friedrich goes. He has no choice. No one has a choice. He puts on the uniform. Too big. Too old. He takes the rifle. Too heavy. Too clumsy. He marches east. He does not look back. If he looked back, he might see his mother, standing at the window. The same window where she watched his father march away. He is gone. Until there is nothing left to do. 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 until there is nothing left to do, 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 until there is nothing left. He is gone. Until there is nothing left to watch. In April 1945, the Russians are in Berlin. The city is rubble. The streets are full of corpses. The buildings are burning. Hitler is in his bunker, mad, broken, waiting for the end. He marries his mistress. He writes his testament. He blames everyone but himself. The generals, the people, the Jews, everyone. Then he shoots himself. His body is burned. The 1,000-year Reich lasted 12. In the streets of Berlin, Friedrich is fighting. He is 16. He has been fighting for months. He has seen friends die, has killed men, has been wounded. He does not remember the boy who stood at the window, who dreamed of glory, who cheered the victories. That boy is dead. This is something else, a machine, a survivor, an animal trying to stay alive. On May 2nd, the fighting stops. The Russians have won. Berlin has fallen. Friedrich is captured. He is sent east, to a camp, to the same camps where his countrymen sent others. He will work. He will starve. He will freeze. He will survive. Somehow. He will come back years later to a Germany that is rubble, to a mother who is dead, to a life that is nothing. He will spend the rest of his days trying to understand what happened, trying to understand how a boy who was born in hunger, who was saved by milk and coal, who cheered his father marching to war, ended up here, alone, empty, nothing. In the room on the courtyard, the window is broken. The stove is cold. The rats are back. They scurry through the rubble. They grow fat on the dead. No one is there to watch them. No one is there to care. The room is empty. The courtyard is empty. The city is empty. The world is empty. Greta died last winter. Of hunger. of cold, of a broken heart. She died alone, in the same room where she had held her son, where she had waited for her husband, where she had survived so much. She died, believing nothing, hoping nothing, feeling nothing, just like her father, just like millions of others. The circle closed, the debt paid, the nightmare over. But the nightmare is not over, not really. It lives on, in the memories of survivors, in the ruins of cities, in the graves of soldiers, in the camps where the smoke still rises, in the hearts of children who will never forget. The nightmare is history, and history does not end. It just waits for the next crisis, the next fear, the next man with a loud voice and simple answers. Waits to happen again. In the railway car at Compiègne, where the armistice was signed in 1918, something else happens in 1940. Hitler comes there. He makes the French sign their surrender in the same car. He dances his jig of revenge. He does not know that in 5 years he will be dead, that his empire will be ashes, that the car will be taken to Germany, then destroyed, then lost to history. He does not know that revenge is a circle, that violence begets violence, that the war he started will consume everything he loves. In the room on the courtyard, the rats scurry, the snow falls, the wind blows through the broken window. No one comes. No one will ever come. The story is over. The story is just beginning. It will be told and retold, in books, in films, in the memories of those who were there. It will be forgotten. It will be remembered. It will be repeated. Because that is what humans do. They forget. They remember. They repeat. Until the day they do not. Friedrich comes home in 1947. He is 18. He looks 40. He stands in the courtyard. He looks at the window, the broken glass, the empty room. He does not go in. There is nothing to go in for. He turns. He walks away. He does not know where he is going. He only knows that he must keep walking. Walking is what you do when you have nowhere to go. His grandfather knew that. His father knew that. Now he knows it too. In the distance he hears singing, not the marching songs, something else. Children, playing, rebuilding, the sound of life going on. He does not join them. He cannot. He just walks. Into the rubble, into the future, into whatever comes next. The war is over, the depression is over, the hunger is over, but the scars remain. On the land, on the cities, on the people. They will never fully heal. They will never be forgotten. They will be passed down, from parents to children, from survivors to historians, from the dead to the living. A warning, a lesson, a curse. This is what happened. This is how the hunger became the hatred, how the hatred became the war, how the war became the end of everything. This is the story of Friedrich, of Greta, of Heinrich, of millions like them. This is the story of how the Great Depression kindled the flames of the Second World War. The story is over. The story never ends.